Hello. So today I wanted to share with you all how to set up the workshop module in Moodle. And so the actual module in Moodle, is called Workshop. So if you go to your Moodle page and go to add a new activity, this is it. This is the workshop. And so I already have one here so that I'm just gonna pull up and show you. And so the workshop module is really just used as a completely virtual peer review. So if you like to do certain peer review things, whether it's with written assignments or I don't know, whatever posters or something that they're creating, some sort of graphic display, that is all as long as it can be uploaded to Moodle, you could use it in the peer review. And so I'm just gonna open it up here. So this is a new peer review. I haven't, there are like no grades in here yet. And so, but here you can see it when you add it, there are different phases. So the setup phase is where the instructor goes in and gets everything ready to go for the students. The submission phase is when the students upload their assignment, whatever they're supposed to be getting feedback on, they upload it here. The assessment phase is when the actual peer review happens. That's when students are looking at their peers' work and getting feedback. And then the grading evaluation phase is where the instructor goes back in and grades that feedback that they were given. And then the workshop is closed. And so it is important to note a couple things that one, there are two different grades that you can have for this workshop. So there's a separate grade for the submission and the assessment, which is nice. And then the other important thing to note is that students can't see feedback from their peers until the workshop is closed. And so they can't, so if you were planning on waiting a couple days to grade those and end the grading evaluation phase, just know that the students can't see their feedback they were given until you officially close it out. And so then to get it set up, so it's really nice. It actually gives you hyperlinks to set all these things up. So if you don't know where to navigate to go to add that information, it will tell it for you. But most of it can be done just by going to edit settings. So that's where I'm going to show you. So here's where you just give a general description of the workshop. So I tried to tell them what was coming for the workshop. You can set up any grade. So this is where the grade for the submission and grade for the assessment are set up separately. Any submission settings, I just told them to upload their document. And so an important note here is that you can make the workshop anonymous to the students. And so to be anonymous, there's a typo there, oops. And so I just told students that if they wanted to remain anonymous, not to put their name in the document they're uploading. And so I can show you how to do that in a moment. And then they can attach a file, of course. Assessment settings, so this is where these are the instructions they see when they go in to give feedback to their peers. So I tried to give them some specific objectives that they were giving feedback on, just to make that extra clear. For the feedback, I let them upload files when they were giving feedback to their peers. So that means that if a student, when they were reviewing a peer's work, if they wanted to download that document and make comments directly in the Word document or whatever it was, and then upload it to Moodle again, they could do that. This gives them the ability to do that. And then if you want them to go through an example submission before they do the real peer review for work, you can do that as well. I did not choose to do that. And then of course, availability, that's probably the last important setting. And then what I did for this is I had them switch, I had the module switch from the submission phase to the assessment phase automatically. And so that box is checked. So it is important to note that when you're setting up the workshop, that if you don't have that automatically switch over, it will stay in the submission phase. So even if the assessment period has started and it has not been switched over to the assessment phase, the students will not be able to go in and do the peer review. So I just had that do that automatically. And so then the other important thing is if you check that box, you should have the module allocate the submission. So like what students are reviewing, what work, you can have the module do that automatically for you. And so you can set that up under allocate submissions. Yes, leave. And so you can manually allocate those submissions if you so choose. I did not. I had it, it's called a scheduled allocation, but essentially the Moodle will go in and say, these students should review these 2 papers, and it does that for all of the papers, and it worked beautifully the first time, so I'm gonna continue to do that. So if you want that, if you want it to automatically allocate those for you, just click that box. And then you can also say how many um, reviews you want each submission to get. So I wanted each student to review 2 papers and each paper to receive 2 reviews. So I said 2, but you can change it to however many you want. I said 2 per submission. And you can there's a couple other settings there that I haven't really messed with, but that's the main thing there is how, if you want to limit how many reviews each thing gets. All right, so then if we go back to the workshop, so those are the main things in the assessment form. So this is these are the questions that the students see when they're reviewing a peer's work. So you can edit that here, edit assessment form. So I already have some questions in here. They're called aspects. So you can put in whatever questions you want, and then you can have, and the student will be able to type in, like manually type in responses to these questions. And so I also had them rate. In addition to that, they could rate on a 1 to 5 how their peer did on this aspect of the paper. And so I have 11 different questions for them to answer. And so it's like, are the ideas presented well? All of those all of those different things that they should have in a paper. And so you can add more aspects just by clicking blank for 2 more aspects. And so then I think that is the main thing that you need to do when you're setting up the workshop. And so then once it's set up, you can switch to the submission phase by either clicking here or here. And then you have to confirm that you want to do that. And so here the students are just submitting, like they're uploading their paper. And so for you, how that looks, here there's no grades or anything, and no one submitted anything yet because it hasn't happened yet. So here you'll just see the list of the students, and whenever they upload a document, it will show up here. So that's what the submission phase looks like. And then once you switch over to the assessment phase, they'll essentially just be adding more columns to this table. So they'll get a couple more columns here. And so you'll see their name, the student's name, what they submitted, and then you'll also see what papers they were assigned to review and the grades they gave on those papers. So those are the 2 extra columns you'll see. And so once that's there, you can see in real time during the workshop, during this assessment phase, like who's done what work and who hasn't done that work yet. So that's kind of nice to be able to monitor that. And then once you get to the grading evaluation phase, the assessment phase is over. Once you get to this, you can just go in and either click on the submission and then give them the grade for their submission. And then you can also do the same thing when you get to grading the feedback they gave to their peers, is you just go in and actually click on the rating that they gave, and you can go in and assign the grade. I did it based on like the quality of feedback they gave, because I was looking at for specifically for them to give meaningful feedback to their peers. And so once all that's done, once you go in and assign those grades, then you can close the workshop. And so once the workshop is closed, then they can see that feedback from their peers, and that's important. And one last thing I forgot to say earlier. So if you do want to make it anonymous, you have to go into check permissions down here. And so oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry, you go into permissions, not check permissions. Apologies. So you go into permissions, and then if you want to make it anonymous, you just go to view authors' names. And I've already made it anonymous here, so it would have students listed here. And then, but now since I've made it anonymous, they're listed on the right-hand side, showing that they are indeed prohibited, so they cannot see author names. That's what that means when they're listed over here. And so then I just did that just as a precaution, so students were not feeling like they were attacking their peers, but rather critiquing the ideas presented in the paper, just separating those 2 things out. All right. So then I think that's it. So Hopefully you found this to be somewhat helpful. I thought this was a fun new thing I did this semester. All right. See y'all later.